Welcome back, everybody. I will call the Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 regular council meeting to order and start with our land acknowledgement that the City of Fort Saskatchewan is located on Treaty 6 territory in Métis Nation of Alberta District 11. We recognize that we stand upon land that carries the footsteps of many Indigenous peoples, including the Nehawak, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, and Métis. The city honors the First Peoples of this land and is committed to fostering reconciliation through relationship building, knowledge gathering, and education. All right, hopefully everyone had a really lovely summer and we are back at it today. I'll first take a motion to adopt the agenda. Go ahead, Councillor Ketcher.
Okay, I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Is there any changes, amendments? Not seeing any, I'll close the motion. Please cast your vote. And that is carried. Next, we'll move on to delegations. So in delegations, we can speak to anything that's not attached to a public hearing today. So that would be the approval of the minutes, offer to purchase a portion of road plan, procurement policy, storm pond, aeration project funding, bylaw C-2426, bylaw C-2326. Any of those items? Not seeing anybody coming up. I'll close delegations. I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Or if anyone would like any of those items taken off, please let me know. Councillor Harris?
I would move the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Not seeing anybody, I'll close the motion. Please cast your vote. All right, and that is carried. All right, there was lots on consent agenda, so moving all the way down to bylaws C-3226, C-3326, and C-3426, 7.2. Scott Purich and Lindsay Butterfield presenting.
Great work, Chief.
All right, thank you. So good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So my name is Scott Burridge, and I'm a planner here with the city's Planning and Development Department. Today I'm presenting 3 related bylaws for first reading, bylaw C-32-26, C-33-26, and C-34-26. So this application began with a city-initiated proposal to rezone lands from industrial reserve to heavy industrial. Public Service and Parks and Recreations District under bylaw C-32-26. As administration reviewed the proposed land use changes, it became clear that supporting statutory plans also needed to be updated to ensure they remained consistent with the proposed development. As a result, administration prepared 2 additional amendments, bylaw C-33-26 to amend the Josephburg Road North Industrial Area Structure Plan, and bylaw C-34-26 to amend the Alberta Industrial Heartland Area Structure Plan. So with this presentation, I will provide an overview of the site location, discuss the proposed redistricting and district comparison, summarize the area structure plan amendments, and conclude with the communication process and recommended motions. So the subject lands are located within the city's industrial area and are currently districted industrial reserve. The subject site, highlighted in purple, is located at the far eastern boundary of the city of Fort Saskatchewan, more specifically south of Veterans Way and west of Range Road 220, which is located within Strathcona County. So bylaw C32-26 proposes to redesignate approximately 28.6 hectares in total, with 15.28 hectares being redesignated from Industrial Reserve District to Heavy Industrial, 8.04 hectares to Public Service District, and 5.28 hectares being redesignated to Parks and Recreation District. The Industrial Reserve District is intended to hold lands for industrial development until a more detailed planning and subdivision occurs. The Heavy Industrial District, by contrast, is intended to accommodate industrial uses that may generate impacts beyond the site and therefore require separation from more sensitive land uses. So for context, the majority of the land uses south of Highway 15 are currently proposed for medium industrial and light industrial. Medium industrial will generate impacts beyond, will not generate impacts beyond the site boundary, and light industrial will not generate impacts beyond the building or the designated development area. So the proposed IH district significantly expands the range of industrial activities that may occur on the site, including but not limited to heavy industrial use, natural resource processing, general industrial use, and outdoor storage. So bylaw C33-26 proposes amendments to the Josephburg Road North Industrial Area Structure Plan. This amendment includes a change to the concept map and other maps to identify the subject lands for heavy industrial and minor text amendments throughout the plan to allow for heavy industrial. I would like to bring your attention to the blue rings within the amendment area. So you can kind of see them in the top right corner here. These designate the area for a potential interchange. This amendment removes the potential interchange designation, which was proposed at the intersection of Range Road 220 and Veterans Way or Highway 15. Since adoption of this ASP, plans for the interchange have not progressed. Additionally, notification has been sent to Alberta Transportation regarding the amendment and has been acknowledged and accepted by Alberta Transportation. So as noted, the proposed amendment removes the possible interchange designation and changes the designation to heavy industrial. The municipal reserve and stormwater management designations are retained and reflected in the proposed land use bylaw designation shown earlier. So similarly, bylaw C34-26 proposes amendments to the Alberta Industrial Heartland Area Structure Plan to ensure consistency between statutory plan and the proposed land use districts. This amendment would only consist of changing the land use concept within the Alberta Industrial Heartland ASP. And the image above shows the proposed amendment, the proposed amended land use concept. Additionally, this map provides greater context for the overall area, showing the amendment area would be adjacent to existing heavy industrial, while still maintaining a proper transition from heavy industrial to medium industrial and eventually to light industrial. The proposal conforms with the municipal development plan, which identifies this area as a major employment area intended for industrial growth. Amendments to both area structure plans are required to align their land use maps and policies with the proposed development pattern. And I would also note that additional amendments to the Josephburg Road North Industrial Outline Plan are required. Amendments to the outline plan are approved by council and will be presented during second and third reading. So administration supports the proposed amendments. The application represents a logical extension of existing heavy industrial lands within the Alberta Industrial Heartland and supports the city's long-term employment and industrial development objectives. If council provides first reading, administration will proceed with the public hearing notification process. Notice will be published within the Fort Saskatchewan Record for 2 consecutive weeks prior to the public hearing. Mail will be sent to adjacent landowners within 100 meters of the subject site, and providing notification of the amendment and public hearing. And information will be posted to the city's website and social media pages. Administration is recommending that Council give first reading to Bylaw C32-26, and first reading to Bylaw C33-26, and first reading to Bylaw C34-26, as described in the Council report. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have Councillor Harris first.
Scott, just a question of clarification. So looking at the map that you've got, the aerial photography, it shows the red line being our boundary, I would imagine. And just from a kind of a convention standpoint, that's in the east ditch, so that the road is in Strathcona County and it's under their responsibility. There was some talk about the upgrading the road. Who upgrades the road when that happens? Is that Strathcona or us?
Through the mayor to Councillor Harris. So any upgrades required to that road as a result of this development would be held to the developer. Any changes in maintenance and stuff would, beyond that, is at Strathcona counties. It's under their jurisdiction.
Yeah. Would we see that road being the primary access in and out of that site? It wouldn't necessarily come off of Highway 15.
Yes, sorry, through the mayor to Councillor Harris, that's correct. That road is current access to the site at the moment, and it would continue to be so, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, that was just a simple question. I thought that was pretty much the case, but sometimes we draw the lines in different ways depending on what the agreement is. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wesley.
Thank you. Nice to see you again, Scott. I have a couple of clarification questions too, just to wrap my head around this. When we consulted the province of Alberta on the interchange, was it a no, we have no intention of putting an interchange there, or was it more of a apathetic?
So through the mayor to Councillor Wesley, we provided them with the package and details of the interchange being removed. It was specifically stated to them. They reviewed the process, and they provided us both an email and a letter back saying that the amendment was approved. And so they had a full understanding of that interchange being that interchange designation being removed.
Okay. My concern would be that there's a low to no probability that they then come back at us and say, oh yeah, by the way, we didn't really mean that.
Yeah, just further to what Scott said, and through Mayor Macon to Councillor Wesley, I think my understanding, and I'm not really familiar with the history of this and the conversations over the last decade with Alberta Transportation, but is that there's several options for where that interchange could be located. And so, yeah, absolutely, it was something we weren't sure about, but they've said that this development can proceed and removal of the interchange at that location is A-okay with them.
Okay, and just maybe one clarification question, sort of a newbie question, I would suspect. Strathcona County told us that they'd like to be sort of kept in the loop a little bit, and I'm just trying to think of, from an operational, actual mechanism point of view, how is that accomplished?
So through Mayor Macon to Councillor Wesley, we have an excellent working relationship with Strathcona County, definitely are in touch on a number of files at any given time. And so our initial phone calls, in-person meetings, and formal referrals have been met with, this sounds good. Please keep us in the loop. Obviously, there are development concerns that they would have, as the road authority is one example, and just having development on their boundary. But we plan to keep them apprised of that and work through any challenges as we go down the road.
So it's kind of like planning department to planning department.
Correct.
Sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for answering my questions.
All right, and I have Councillor Blizzard next. She is online.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, just a question. It looks to me like there might be houses on here. It said something about private owners and mentioned something about dwellings. Are there any residents or potential residents on this area?
So through the mayor to Councillor Blizzard, no, not at the moment. You can maybe see from the aerial here that there is development further south and then possible residential development way down here. But on the actual subject site, there is no development. It is currently being farmed.
Okay, I'd seen some that looked like small pockets and I thought, well, I wonder if there's still potentially a house or something in that area. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any more questions. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Nguyen.
Yeah, how many landowners exist within the subject lands?
So for within the purple designated area here, just to
Yes,
confirm.
yeah.
Yep. Just the one landowner at this time. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Councillor Catcher.
My questions to Mr. Kaiser probably. Do we not have to have a number 4 that says a public hearing is scheduled, or have we done away with that as a cleanup item? Because usually we have that as an item.
Through the mayor to the councillor, it's not required. It is a statutory requirement that we schedule a public hearing. So of course that would be the next step for administration to do so. So it's not a requirement, although sometimes it is a formality that we do include.
Okay, so I was just checking to see whether it was a miss or whether we're just not doing it.
Okay, thank you. That is all the questions. What is the will of council? Oh, so Councillor Blizzard is waving. Go ahead, Councillor Blizzard.
Well, I'm just willing to make the motion if you like.
You go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion that council give first reading to bylaw C 32-26 to amend land use bylaw C 23-20 as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept the motion. Do you wish to speak to it?
No, I think it was clearly laid out, the reasons for doing this, and I do support it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Not seeing any, I'll close the motion. Please cast your vote. And that is carried unanimously. Do you want to go on with the motion too, Councillor Blizzard?
I can, unless someone else wants to. I make a motion that council give first reading to bylaw C 33-26 to amend the Josephburg Road North Industrial Area Structure Plan bylaw C 9-15 as presented.
Thank you very much. I'll accept the motion. Do you wish to speak to it?
No.
Okay, thank you. Not seeing any questions or debate, I'll close the motion. Please cast your vote. If someone's not coming through.
Okay.
And that is carried unanimously. Councillor Blizzard, do you want to finish us off?
Sure. I make a motion that council give first reading to bylaw C 34-26 to amend Alberta's Industrial Heartland Area Structure Plan bylaw C 19-00 as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept the motion. Anything to say on that one?
No.
Thank you very much. Not seeing anybody else. I will close the motion. Please cast your vote. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to 7.3, bylaw C 1426, new land use bylaw, first reading. Shri Shindi presenting. And the team is coming up.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Lindsay Butterfield. I'm the Director of Planning and Development. With me today, I have a team of great professionals who will help to answer all your questions you have today. The depth of our bench today is demonstrative of how complicated this piece of policy is. So glad we have Sri Shinde, our Manager of Current and Long Range Planning, Dean McCartney, our Manager of Development Planning, and Terrence Samra, our senior planner, and they've all been very involved in the creation of this piece of policy. So I'm going to turn it over to Sri today, and then I'll wrap up with a little bit of what we're hoping to get from council in terms of direction as well. So thanks very much for having us here today.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'll start with a quick overview of the project. As you all are aware, this project started in the summer of 2021 following the approval of our municipal development plan. From 2021 to 2023, administration undertook the research, data collection, and mature neighborhood engagements to get a deeper understanding of neighborhood characters and determine suitable approach to regulating development. From 2024 to date was the drafting phase of this land use bylaw, throughout which we gathered communities' feedback and revised the draft multiple times. A final citywide engagement took place earlier this year, and the bylaw we are presenting today reflects the feedback we received to date. As per the Municipal Government Act, every municipality must have a land use bylaw, and it must align with the statutory plans such as the Municipal Development Plan and the Area Structure Plans. A land use bylaw divides the land within a municipal boundary in multiple districts and determines what development goes where. Each district articulates size of sites, type of development allowed, buildings allowed, how tall the buildings can be, and how far the buildings should be set from the property lines. Land use bylaw can also regulate appearance of the buildings through design standards. Most importantly, it is a critical tool in implementing the vision of the council-approved statutory plans and incorporating unique qualities of mature neighborhoods through customized regulations. Through various public engagements, residents told that the city's neighborhoods are unique and there shouldn't be one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to regulating growth and development in the city. The current land use bylaw has generic districts that can be applied anywhere across the neighborhoods, irrespective of the context. Image on the left shows the current districts in place for the Sienna area. This creates piecemealing of regulations rather than having a holistic approach. In more recent years, administration has noticed increase in the applications for special and direct control districts. This indicates severe disconnect between the provisions of the current land use bylaw and the housing trends in the region. The new land use bylaw will bring the unique areas of the city under the umbrella of area-specific districts that reflect respective overarching statutory plans. For mature neighborhoods, the land use bylaw provides context-sensitive regulations. Whereas for the new neighborhoods, the new land use bylaw provides flexibility to integrate wide range of housing types, community services in appropriate locations. The image on the left shows the concept of a node. Nodes are places where community gathers, has concentration of people and community services such as local shopping, school, and parks. In new neighborhoods, higher density and mix of built forms will be encouraged in the nodes and along the major transportation corridors such as arterial streets. Naturally, these areas will house greater massing associated with higher density and the community service built forms. Density and the massing will transition to less dense housing and lower heights as the development moves away from the nodes and major roadways to local streets. The concept on the left shows the density transition. Darker color is for the higher density and light yellow is for the lower density. The image on the right shows the example of it. This approach helps in keeping traffic associated with higher density and community services off the local streets, maintaining their quiet character. Higher architectural standards are proposed for the nodes and major transportation corridors, as these are the entryways into the neighborhoods. Proposed build forms and the development regulations take the context, scale of the adjacent roads, and overall compatibility into consideration. Now let's take a look at the distinct features of this bylaw. New land use bylaw will have two types of districts, comprehensive and standard. Comprehensive districts are assigned to areas that accommodate a variety of functions, such as housing types, commercial and institutional services, and parks. Standard districts are used for areas that accommodate similar functions in one area, and rather the focus is separation from non-similar developments. The new land use bylaw focuses on right scale development at right locations. The new land use bylaw uses the term build form in the same manner as the term use in more traditional bylaws. Each district lists permitted and discretionary build forms. The definitions for the build form list the compatible activities that are allowed in them. You are seeing two examples of build forms on the screen and activities listed within their definitions. If a build form is permitted, all the activities listed within the definition are allowed in that build form at that location. An applicant is not required to apply for a redevelopment permit to switch to a different activity listed under the build form definition. Business license and building permit are still required, and build form and activity specific regulations need to be followed. This approach ensures scale and place appropriate development, compatibility between the allowed activities, and streamlines the permitting process. Last but not the least, this land use bylaw will have a more direct connection to council approved neighborhood structure plans. Following the NSP approval, applicants may apply to rezone the entire neighborhood or a portion of it by incorporating regulating maps within the CND and HND districts. As you know, the neighborhood structure plans provide vision and details of land use, density allocation, road network, and parks and open space distribution. They also identify the location of nodes, block configurations, and local roads and lanes, as shown in the image on the left. In addition, the plan also identifies the locations of any innovative or reduced setback housing if proposed. These council-approved plans will inform the regulating maps within the comprehensive districts. For example, high-density shallow lots in the Roseburn neighborhood or in the Roseburn neighborhood structure plan are indicated by number 4 on the regulating map to the right, and specific regulations are added in the district. Low-density residential along local streets and street-oriented medium density of the NSP are also identified accordingly. This approach ensures NSP vision is implemented, transparency is maintained, and has the potential to reduce the number of required redistricting applications if applicant chooses to redistrict larger portion of neighborhood or the entire neighborhood. Next is the overview of the community engagement. A citywide engagement was undertaken in February and March of 2026. 7 6-hour-long in-person sessions were undertaken where residents, business owners, and interested parties were able to review the draft land use bylaw and ask questions and provide feedback. The document was posted online for 2 weeks for review and feedback. Engagement was advertised through newspapers, social media handles, citywide signage, and emails to those who registered for email updates. 121 participants attended in person, and 292 visited the draft land use bylaw online. Residential neighborhoods received the most participation, as you can see on this slide, and the summary of this engagement was attached to the council package. The new land use bylaw is developed on the foundation of the robust public engagement. Since the approval of the MDP, 19 rounds of engagement and dozens of engagement sessions and workshops were undertaken. These sessions were attended by close to 900 participants, and hundreds visited the content online. 650 feedback forms and emails provided input into this project. In summary, the new land use bylaw is a significant step forward in implementing the city's statutory plans, and administration recommends council give first reading to bylaw C-1426 as outlined in Appendix A attached to the August 25, 2026 Request for decision report. Thank you.
So thanks very much for your attention. I'll just close by saying that this bylaw in front of you, first reading, does represent administration's best recommendation for the land use bylaw. With that said, it is council's prerogative to request changes be made through motion, and we're very open to that. So we are seeking direction. If there are elements of the bylaw that you think need more focus, need to be a little bit different, that's what we're seeking today. And legislative services and ourselves can help to craft whatever those motions look like. I'll also note that while we're here to answer your questions and give an opportunity to share how parts of the bylaw might be interpreted, we don't yet have it all memorized. That's to come. So we may need a moment to go away and find the answer up here and then get back to you after a minute or two. So just take note of that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'll go to Councillor Harris first.
Couple of high-level questions. So obviously, this is a generational change because the current land use bylaw was put in place quite some time ago and has been edited on an ongoing basis to make it practical and functional. So how would you say this particular draft bylaw compares to other municipalities in the capital region, for example, that may or may, I suppose, may have updated their bylaws? Have you followed similar thought processes? I mean, the whole concept of built form as opposed to, a use, is a change of thinking. But is that fairly common in the planning environment today as it relates to land use bylaws?
So
or did we make it up?
Through Mayor Makin to Councillor Harris, I'll start and maybe the team can jump in. I would say that there has been more of a move over the last 10 or 15 years to form-based land use bylaws. So you're seeing those more frequently, which, like this bylaw, focus on the design of neighborhoods and the design of buildings at the forefront, and then the actual land use as a secondary consideration. The approach of built form and activities that this bylaw takes is unique. I don't believe there are any that are quite like it in the province, but I will turn it over to my colleagues to complete that answer.
To Madam Mayor, to Councillor Harris, yes, Ms. Butterfield is absolutely right. This is somewhat unique, but it is based on the form-based approach to the land use bylaw. And as we decided to respect our existing neighborhoods, our built form, and the context of the place, we felt that was the way to go with regulating the built forms and allowing the activities within them. It sort of simplifies the process or the whole approach, because there are limited numbers of built form compared to the number of uses we used to have. And then it's just focuses on the appearance along our major transportation routes and the nodes, rather than focusing on the use.
So when I ask this question, I'm asking the question in the context, so there's going to be a learning process not only for council, because we're going to be faced with a new thing. We're going to have this discussion about questions and what does this mean and where did this come from. But the development community is going to have to grapple with changes. And so I'm curious, when we finally have adopted this through the amendment process, because there will inevitably be amendments, I suspect, how are we going to deal with the development community in that regard? We're just going to put out the bylaw once it's finally adopted and say, here it is?
That's a great question. Through Mayor Makin to Councillor Harris, we have an implementation plan for this bylaw. It does include industry. I think depending on which element of industry you're talking about, at the developer level, we've talked with them in great detail about how the districts work, for example, and how the regulating plans will work. At the site level, when it comes to builders and applying for applications, it probably won't be as different for them. So there's some nuance there, but definitely we have in the back of our mind that it will require education for everyone involved.
So once it becomes implementable, do you have the appropriate resources in the department to be able to address all of these questions that are going to come up? Because it's going to be a new iteration for a lot of people, and they're going to be looking for direction. So do we have enough resources to be able to do that once it becomes ready to go?
Through Mayor Makin to Councillor Harris, yes, we believe so.
Okay, good. I just have one more technical question, and that's it. The current land use bylaw has a fairly rigorous indication of parking requirements in commercial areas. For example, you build a Walmart, you figure out the size of the building, how much is there, and then ultimately you figure out parking from that. Is the parking allocation calculation or whatnot in the new land use bylaw substantially different, or perhaps more user-friendly in relation to how we will come up? Because you look at parking lots for large commercial development. Most of them aren't really required. Most people want to park close to the building. They're not going to park out away and like where Walmart is. Nobody parks on the outside. So are we changing that thought process within the land use bylaw in relation to how we're going to require parking
Through Mayor
and the amount of
Macon,
parking?
through Mayor Macon to Councillor Harris, I think the simple answer is no. We haven't. The proposed parking is similar to what we have in the current land use bylaw. We haven't reduced it. It was revised to reflect the build forms and the activities that are included within those build forms. So answer would be no, we haven't reduced it or made it more efficient in a way. We have kept it the same.
Yeah, so I asked that question in general terms, but that's almost a subject that I think council needs to have a conversation philosophically with the framers of this bylaw, such that we can actually give some direction at an appropriate time. Not tonight, not today, but at some point in time, we need to have that discussion as a council as to what do we expect, and then obviously the rationale for how those size of parking lots and parking spaces are required comes out of a technical context. But at this point in time, I don't think council's ready to have that kind of a discussion yet, because everything is so new. So those are my general questions, and I don't have any others, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. I have a couple questions. The first one is just on general language in the land use bylaw, and I'm sure that this is how it was in the old land use bylaw too, but throughout the whole document, there's a lot of times where it says at the discretion of the development authority, or these are the regulations, or, you know, at the whim of the development authority. So I guess how do you ensure consistency when like a member of the development authority can approve or disapprove something? Where do you use your discretion generally on these items? Sorry, a hard one for you, Dean.
That's okay. So in terms of the discretion, what we do look at, the Municipal Government Act and the Land Use Bylaw has the same language, is there an impact to those adjacent properties? So is it affecting the use, enjoyment, safety, and I believe financial? Now that is subjective, but there is an appeal mechanism that's available. So if my opinion might vary from Mrs. Butterfield, of course, but I think in general, that is our discretion that we use. I mean, we also evaluate the purpose statement within the district. So the purpose statement will say what that intended development is supposed to look like. So again, it's an interpretation. And I think, like, again, we just want to make sure that we're not impacting the adjacent properties.
Okay. And my second question is on the parking. You mentioned that it hadn't really changed, but it does say that downtown parking requirements, parking is reduced to 20% of the standard requirement and is based on the development type. Well, that's the current. Sorry, I read the wrong one. Parking is reduced to 20% of the standard requirement and is based on built form, only applies to specific locations. I guess what is the theory behind reducing it to such a lower amount comparatively?
To Mayor Macon, this is a carry forward regulation from the current land use bylaw. My understanding is that few years ago, council had given this direction, and this is something the downtown businesses, the rights that they have, and so we did not change them.
Okay, so it's just a matter of making things fit and work required such a reduced amount of parking. Okay. I see Lindsay
Sorry,
nodding.
could you say that again?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Ketcher.
Okay, so I guess my question comes, you know, I think it was great. We had fairly good public participation. And I know some people spearheaded it more than others. And there wasn't too much in some areas because people just kind of go, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. But I guess the question that I have is we do all this public engagement. Why are we not engaging with city council once you get to this point? I mean, we were asked to provide our comments, which I understand were posted online, which I would have liked to have known because I would have cleaned them up. No answers to my questions or comments. So how is it that we get to be engaged? I mean, just as of Thursday or Friday of last week, we were said, well, if you want to make changes, do amending motions. So guess what I did this weekend? And so I've gone through it again. So wouldn't it be better for us to have a even a public workshop or something rather than putting a bunch of amending motions on? Because I think a lot of these questions could be answered through there. Otherwise, I have to put a bunch of amending motions on.
So through Mayor Macon to Councillor Catcher, it's unfortunate that there's a sense that information wasn't available. So I apologize for that. There was a presentation in February, another in May at Committees of the Whole to provide background information and an offer for further discussions through additional Committees of the Whole. We didn't receive direction to come back, so we did not. And again, I apologize if there was a misunderstanding there. The purpose of collecting comments and feedback was so that we could provide answers, and they are in the attachments. That information is available. It was invaluable from administration side, so I'm sorry that it wasn't valuable for council in terms of just making updates, understanding some of the questions that were coming forward, and frankly, just fixing some errors and typos that people caught. We're open to providing whatever information today or another day that council's looking for. We're here to answer all of your questions.
So I guess that's the question that I have is to Mr. Fleming, or is it amenable to have this referred to a public workshop so that we can ask all the questions, have these actually answered in public, and then administration gets a sense of whether these are areas that should be looked at? Or
Yeah, through your worship, we did talk about it just briefly before the meeting. And so what I'd probably recommend is council just to refer it back to administration, but don't be specific, don't reference it as a workshop. What I would say is just refer it back and we'll figure out if it should come back in an open session or a committee of the whole. Because it might as well be public. Like I don't think there's any reason we would see why it needs to be behind closed doors or anything. So if council does a referral back, we can work, we'll take it away, look at council's calendars and everyone's availability, and we'll set a time to come back and
okay.
we can continue and we can work on a format that allows sort of a little bit of back and forth with council, and then also if motions need to be made.
Okay, and I think I would appreciate that because, I mean, this document's over 400 pages and there was a lot of things that were kind of going back and forth and I just feel like, like in this one, it talked about boarding houses, and yet it talks somewhere that, we wanted to change the verbiage. Well, I didn't go into the new document to see if the verbiage would be changed because that's another 400 pages to go through. So, so I guess I'm just wondering, I'll listen, and if not, I'll ask my 101 questions at the end. Okay?
Go ahead, Councillor Nguyen.
Yeah, just a general question on adoption of new land use bylaw as it applies to already built form that would potentially be in contravention of the new land use bylaw. So how does it apply, if we have existing backyard dwelling in place already and the new land use bylaw is proposing no backyard dwelling in that area? How do we work around that? I think that can apply to architectural design regulations, landscaping requirements, so on and so forth. So it's kind of a general idea.
Yeah, through Mayor Macon to Councillor Nguyen. So that's called a non-conforming use. It's very common when you make a large change to your land use bylaw that you'll have some non-conforming uses. I know the team spent a lot of effort and energy to make sure there was as little of that as possible, but we can't guarantee that there is none. I don't know, Dean, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I can. Just in regards to, you talked about the architecture treatments, those would be considered like non-conforming buildings and things like that, right? So it depends on what regulation you're referring to, whether it could or could not be a non-conformance, right? So a height restriction. Might not be a non-conforming use, it might be a non-conforming building.
Right, okay, so let's take backyard dwelling, because that's a hot topic in all the neighborhoods, addition or deletion of them. So how does that apply to somebody who already has a backyard dwelling where it's not a permitted use in that district?
So through Mayor Macon and Councillor Nguyen, that backyard dwelling would be non-conforming if it no longer meets the requirements of the bylaw.
Okay.
It could stay there, but it could not be rebuilt. It could not be added to, that sort of thing.
Okay, I see. All right, that's good enough for now, thanks.
Councillor Wesley.
Yeah, thank you. So 19 rounds of engagement, 868 in-person participants, and now when we look at the final document, what would you say the resident sentiment is?
Through Mayor Macon to Councillor Wesley, yes, we did take a robust engagement, and we got quite a bit of feedback on certain districts. We went through multiple iterations of those drafts, and we feel we are at a place where we have majority of resident support. Of course, we are not going to make each and everyone happy, but we feel comfortable, and we feel like we have put in effort to get most people's support on this proposed land use bylaw.
Okay, that's really awesome considering how many changes and how big the document is. Just talking about the development community, you had mentioned, Lindsay, I think that you had explained this to them. What's their sentiment towards this new land use bylaw?
Yeah, through Mayor Macon to Councillor Wesley, it's been pretty positive, actually. I would say that the regulatory framework that we've developed here really helps to meet where the market is, and that wasn't expressly the primary goal, but it's an important goal that we need to provide a regulatory framework that enables the things people want to build and buy today. So it's been positive.
Okay, awesome. And just maybe one last question, just piggybacking off of Councillor Nguyen's question about non-conformance. Are there many, are we expecting too many properties? Are there non-conforming regarding backyard dwellings or in any other major respect?
Through Mayor Macon, I think in terms of, maybe some minor or accessory dwellings, we don't, like, it's hard for us to quantify. We haven't gone through every property and done like an audit, so we don't know the number, but we have tried to look at what are the major developments, what are the major types of development, and make sure that we're accommodating all of them. So for example, in the, historic part of downtown here, we do have some things that don't match the overall intent of the bylaw, and so we've made sure that there are specific regulations for those developments to make sure that they do not become non-conforming. So we have tried to do that, but we won't have caught every single garage or backyard dwelling or other thing.
Okay, so no idea what grade I should give you on this, 95%, 97%?
Is this self-marking?
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you for all your hard work on this very extensive project.
All right, still on round one, we'll go to Councillor Blizzard.
I've gone through this. I went through it quite with a fine-tooth comb once. It was a lot of reading, and you said yourself that, Lindsay, I guess, said that you may not know all the details. As I went through it for this meeting again, I thought, oh my goodness, I don't even remember. And I did read it all, so there is a ton in here. So I have a lot of questions. If it gets referred, maybe that's the general question first. So if this was to get referred by someone today, does that mean we don't pass for first reading? that we'll come and have a separate meeting and have question answered and then come back?
That is correct, Councillor Blizzard. Separate
Okay.
meeting. Yeah,
Okay, so then it would just be, we're postponing first reading.
correct.
Okay, I guess going by that then, is there a push to get this done? I know it's been a long time coming, and everyone would like to see it done, that's worked on it, but is there gonna be any, I don't know, delays, are delays gonna cause any issues?
Through Mayor Macon to Councillor Blizzard, so there is a significant amount of implementation that needs to get done. I think that we definitely have buffer time if it gets delayed. We would like to implement starting January 1st, and we want to ensure also that those who are investing in the community have enough heads up that they can change their plans to meet what the land use bylaw will look like in the end. So having a little bit of time for that transition to take place is important, but we definitely have buffer to move things a couple meetings if necessary.
Okay, going by that, and there's no referral motion, maybe I'll just make some comments and then ask questions if that's okay with the mayor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, in general, it's a great document. There's a lot of details. Some of them I do feel things are being slid in, and I'll go into that after, but like zero lot lines. I just feel like that's being now okayed more, and in the past, council has debated this a lot. I'm not sure I agree with that. But anyway, I'll go to one of the questions I had was with landscaping. To require a tree for every, now I can't remember what the amount was, every 100 square meters, was that it? 1,000 square feet?
Through Mayor
To
Macon
require,
through Mayor Macon to Councillor Blizzard, that's correct.
okay, I just feel like that's quite a bit. And so does that include, say, if a lot is a certain size and the building takes up 1,000 square feet, do you need one tree less, or does it still require the tree, you know, a tree in place of where that lot was to somewhere on the rest of the property?
Through Mayor Macon to Councillor Blizzard, the required trees would be calculated based on the total lot area, so irrespective of how big the building on it is.
You know, I think, and I asked this in an email, you know, how do we make changes? This isn't a statutory document, so in the future we can make changes, but I think this might cause issues. We will see some small trees planted, but those trees do grow into bigger trees. And once we get big, some of those yards are going to struggle to have 2 or 3 or 5 trees, or a dozen shrubs on them that grow into giant mugo pines. I think that should be revisited somehow. I don't know how the rest of council feels. I'll leave it at that, just a comment for now. If anyone comments, I'll look at it. The other one I had asked for before was private amenity. It says each apartment needs some private amenity space. Does that mean each individual apartment requires a balcony? It wasn't really clear even on the answer I got. It just said, yes, they require a patio or something. So old apartment buildings used to have just a window, you'd look out. So are you saying that from now on they need a patio or a balcony?
Through Mayor Macon to Councillor Blizzard, it might not be like every apartment unit needs to have a balcony. It could be balconies, it could be patios, or it could be amenity space on the terrace. But there would be some a dedicated area per dwelling unit, but it could be allocated with the dwelling unit or as a common amenity area. But yes, this would be a requirement.
So it could be a room within the building, like a gym or something, or a sitting room that applies to everyone in the building?
Through the mayor to council, Blizzard, just to clarify exactly what Ms. Shindy said. Yeah, there is a combination. So you would have to provide common amenity per the number of dwelling units, but each dwelling unit would also require a private amenity space as well. How that private amenity is, could be balconies, it could be a patio, it could be combination of, but we would require some sort of space for that dwelling unit.
That's what I'm asking. So you're saying exterior, outside of the balcony or outside of the unit itself?
Through the mayor council, it could be a combination. It could be outside, it could be inside, it could be something. It just have to be how it looks. It just has to be provided, but how it turns out to be, that's up in the air, or that's something that can be discussed at the development permit stage.
Okay, yeah, I'm just having a trouble visualizing that. So if you got a 4-story building and I'm on the 4th floor, where can my private amenity space be other than a balcony?
Through the mayor to council, but yeah, you would expect maybe a balcony on the 4th floor, but if you were on the main floor, you could have a patio space or something outside your kitchen, right? So it could be a combination of, but you have to provide something.
Okay, so that is kind of saying you're telling people building apartment buildings they need balconies or terrace.
Through the mayor to council is correct.
Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll wait a minute and let some others ask some questions. I can go around in the next round.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Councillor Randawa.
Thank you very much. I'll be quick. I just want to thank administration and all the residents for getting this document up to this point. It's a complex foundational document for our municipality, and a lot of work has gone into it, and I think it's definitely progressing in the right direction. I agree with Councillor Harris. I think what's kind of missing before we do first reading and the public, bring in the public again one last time, is just bringing council along for that journey at the end. So whether it's a workshop or whatever else administration sees fit, I think one more session like that allows us all to kind of dive into the details will be time worth spent, considering how important this document is. I also killed a small tree printing this thing out, and it was a fascinating read. I look forward to discussing it more.
Okay, on round 2, I'll go to Councillor Harris.
Well, with that in mind, and I know that Councillor Blizzard has lots of questions, and we all probably look at this because it is a new generational document. I want to refer this to administration, back to administration, so that we can schedule an appropriate opportunity for council to have this discussion. I don't think it has to be in camera, but it could be a public session, but something that allows us to use the work that you've done, and you've done a lot of good work. There's nothing to apologize for, but in terms of the ability for council to understand this, to have a degree of understanding, we're not editors. I didn't read it because I didn't want to edit it, because that's not my role as a councillor. My is to understand it through your eyes, so that we can then interpret that for the community. And so I think we need to have a discussion at another time. And I don't see a delay, but I see it as a well scripted opportunity to have a good discussion, ask the questions. I know Councillor Nguyen's got questions, Councillor Westgate, Councillor Blizzard, we've all got questions. So let's refer it back to administration, and then have that cogent discussion at a hopefully future time in the not too distant future. So I'd like to move that. So if you can put that motion up, I'd appreciate that.
I think Ledge Services has the wording for that. Councillor Harris, is that what you're looking for?
So through the mayor to the councillor, if a referral usually refers it from council to another body and sets some sort of direction, but based on the discussion we've had so far, it sounds as though council simply wishes to postpone the matter to a future meeting of council for further discussion and debate.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is that we should have a meeting to continue to discuss this in a fulsome manner, so that those observations, comments, concerns, they can allay the concerns of some members. Like Councillor Blizzard just asked a question about the tree. That's an important issue, but there's an opportunity to have that in a discussion that ties in with a lot of other things in the bylaw that ultimately will get approved at some point in time. So I think the city manager said refer to administration, and administration will then determine the best opportunity to get us all together in the same room to have a discussion on these important topics. Does that make sense, Mr. Fleming?
It does. I think just instead of using the word refer, we'll just use the word postpone in the motion we created here, and it has the same effect.
Yeah, okay, and I'm not,
Is the wording okay, Councillor Harris?
yeah, I can live with it. The bottom line is we're sending a message that there's more discussion that has to take place in an appropriate venue or forum so that we can all come away with this thing with a degree of comfort that we are going to be leaving something for the balance of this term and for future terms to come so that planning can take place in an orderly and logical manner, planning and development. So I think we're at the nub of that particular topic, and so let's have another discussion. And I don't see it being delayed. It might take a couple of meetings, but if it's well scripted, and that's what I would look to administration to come up with a good script and a good opportunity for us to have that fulsome discussion, then I think we will be able to give you the best direction we possibly can. So that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Blizzard, you were next on. Did you have comments on this?
No, well, I'm good with the refer or postponement.
Thank you. I'll support the postponement. This is a really big document, and I think that what council's looking for, because you might argue that we're all here, we're all ready for discussion and debate on this subject. But at the end of the day, I think being how important this document is, we just want a more, let's call it casual opportunity to come together to discuss even the finer details. And, you know, the argument can be made that like we shouldn't get into the finer details, but I don't want to have all of these little mistakes that we didn't notice up here from this high level that make us have to come back time and time again to change or request amendments. And I just don't want any unintended consequences. So I would appreciate the one more opportunity to come together a little bit more casually than the formality of this meeting to discuss. And I'm okay if that is in a public forum so the community can see that conversation. But I look forward to having that opportunity. Councillor Ketcher?
Yes, and I would appreciate the opportunity as well because I have a lot of nuances that I would like to state. So, you know, rather than having 101 questions today, have them clarified. And then that way, hopefully we don't have to have a whole bunch of amending motions. The only question I have out of this is from what we received from the draft one, are there a bunch of changes in there that we need to have a new document to look at? And I ask that because, like I said, there's a differences you had mentioned between boarding houses, lodging, and then I saw somewhere in here there's sleeping units and stuff. You know, plus there's other things, many other things.
So through Mayor Macon, just to understand, Councillor Ketcher, you're looking for a list of the changes that were made from the July draft to first reading draft?
Whenever we received this one.
Yeah, the July?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can provide that.
That would be appreciated. That way I'm not looking at old information. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Wesley, go ahead. Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit that off. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Well, great idea, Councillor Harris. You're wise beyond your years. I appreciate that. I support Councillor Harris's motion. I think it's good for us to be deliberative. I hope it doesn't result in a long delay. I know my friends and neighbors are looking forward to having this land use bylaw resolved in some sense of finality. So I'm generally supportive. I maybe have one request is, could you send us the bylaw on its own in its own little PDF? I know I can see it on my little tiny screen here, but I'd like to watch it on my big screen at home so I can see it with my elderly eyes. And we love our elderly community, right? Thank you.
Councillor Randhawa.
I echo everything that was just said by Councillor Wesley. Great motion by Councillor Harris. Thank you to admin. I think one more meeting just kind of discussing this and and making sure council grasps it completely and is comfortable in the direction it's all heading. I think it's time worth spent, considering this has been going on long before Councillor Wesley and I were even on this council. So I think one more meeting is good.
Go ahead, Councillor Nguyen.
Yeah, I'll support the motion as well. I want to thank you all for your work and for reminding us that it was 2021 when this began. I thought it was maybe 3 or 4 years, but that's a bit longer than that now. So yeah, I think that there could be a little bit of feeling of maybe overwhelming with myself of the amount of information that we've been asked to review. And I think given a bit more time that we could have some good wholesome discussion and ask the questions that we need to ask, because we do want to get it right when it does pass. So happy to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Harris, do you wish to close? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if we can structure it in a workshop context, that will give us the best opportunity to see what the high philosophical issues are to deal with, drill it down so that we don't have to go through every line, every paragraph, every page. That's laborious. So what are the primary things that ultimately allow us to see what that is? Now, that's not going to be 6 things. Maybe it's 10 things. I don't know. But that's where I say if you can structure it, administration in a workshop that allows us to go through this in an orderly way, I think we can get to the end of this to achieve the outcome that we need to have a document that when we deal with development or give direction to administration, to our development authority, then that will happen, and the public can have confidence that it is a generational document that makes sense for our community going forward. So that's all I'm looking for.
Thank you. With that, I'll close the motion. Please cast your vote. And that is carried unanimously. All right, is there any notice of motions? None? Amazing. All right, points of interest. Go ahead, Councillor Wesley.
All right. Thank you to Mayor Macon for giving me the opportunity at the Symphony Orchestra event on Saturday to give the city's greetings. It was an awesome event. The organizers informed us that 2,000 residents were in attendance, so that was like amazing. The music was great, so thank you to the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra for putting that out. I also had the opportunity to attend the Black Ribbon event at the legislature last Friday as well, and I think that's kind of a commemoration of an important, sometimes forgotten historical event where Nazi Germany and Soviet USSR collaborated to invade Poland, resulting in the deaths of 5.7 million Poles. And I think what was maybe very nice, the nice lining of that particular event is the Polish organizers really reached out to folks in Ukraine who are suffering under the same kind of brutality. And given Poland's and Ukraine's complicated history, I thought that was a very nice outreach of unity against tyranny. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you were around City of Fort Saskatchewan this summer, there was an amazing amount of activities and events going on. I hope that you were able to take in some of them. Over the next few days, I'm going to be representing Alberta's Industrial Heartland and the City of Fort Saskatchewan at the Can Export ribbon cutting in Port au Prince Rupert. It is a critical connection to overseas markets for the products coming out of Alberta's Industrial Heartland. So this is a big day for our region, and I'm proud to be heading there to represent our area and our city. Not seeing anybody else. Councillor inquiries? Not seeing any. With that, I'll take a motion to move in camera. Go ahead, Councillor Nguyen.
I'll move the council enter in camera to discuss matters under ATIA.
Thank you very much. Please cast your vote. We okay with a 10-minute break or 3:20? Is that okay? Yep, 3:20. Thank you very much.